Hi, folks. Okay, so here's the deal, or here's my current thinking. I realize that for the last couple of videos, we haven't been seeing some of the best games in the world. Nobody actually explicitly complained, but I've noticed that viewership of these videos has dropped off significantly, and I can understand why. I have personally a fairly high tolerance for bad games. And when I say bad games, I don't mean really like terrible games. I mean, like the game equivalent of B movies, the B games, not AAA games, but kind of B games, those little sort of indie homemade games that one person spent a few months working on, and they're not very good. The graphics aren't very good. The overall presentation, sometimes even the gameplay is not the best. But there's just something so charming and so appealing about them because they're really the work of one person who put a lot of work and effort into them and who tried to make the best that they could with their own with their own abilities. And sometimes people aren't good programmers. Sometimes they're not good artists. Sometimes they're not good, just not good at designing games in general. But the results are always very interesting because, or almost always very interesting because, you see how people sort of express themselves through their games. I do see games as a type of art, and so even when the games are not the best, I do still sort of see a certain artistry in these bad games. I think more so than in AAA games because AAA games are very they're kind of like a Hollywood movie production. They're very slick. They're very produced. They are the product of the work of sometimes hundreds of people. But one person's game is actually much more appealing to me because it's Anyway, I realize I'm rambling as I often tend to do. But anyway, as I was going to say, here's my current thinking on how I'll proceed with these videos. I've been trying to basically show every single game in the list of games on this CD, and that's just not working out very well. I think that we're just seeing a lot of games that just aren't really that great. There are some really fantastic games to be found on this CD, but there are also a lot of them that are just not very good. It's not like the first Gamefest CD. The first Gamefest CD had mostly games that were good for looking at. Even if they weren't great games, they were at least interesting or somehow original or at least, worth taking a 5-minute look at. But this CD, the Gamefest 2 CD, has a lot of games that aren't even worth looking at for 5 minutes. So before I start, let me go ahead and just, where were we last time? So last time I got upset at Fleet Sweep because it didn't have an obvious way to quit. And so what I neglected to do was show off Trisk, which was, if I recall correctly, some Hungarian ring game it was described as. So yeah, Triskelion. This is some kind of a classic. It's like a classic. I guess it's a classic Hungarian game. For some reason, I associated it with Russia or the Soviet Union when I was a kid. Maybe because, well, I guess Hungary was a satellite. It was a Warsaw Pact country, wasn't it? Rotate the rings to make the central Triskelion a different color. Okay, so the Triskelion obviously being that yellow thing in the center. And to turn rings, press 1, 2, 3. Clockwise. Oh, I see. To turn rings clockwise, press 1, 2, 3. For counterclockwise, press 4, 5, 6. So if I press 1, I like that sound effect that it makes. It's actually kind of a cool sound effect. It's kind of like the kind of sound effect that I would want to just play on a recorded loop all night while I sleep because it's so soothing. Like it's really soothing. It's like the kind of sound that I would just like to hear all night before I wake up and kill everybody that I see because I'm so wound up from hearing that sound all night. Anyway, so I'm pressing 1 to turn this around, and I guess if I press 4, oh, it makes a different sound. Do they each make a different sound? Oh, they do. So if you press, I'm going to press 1, 2, 3 in order. You could almost play a song with this. And then if you press 4, 5, 6, kind of like similar but different sounds. So it's like could almost play music with this. Okay, anyway, I like everything about this game, but this is the kind of thing that I'm terrible at. I really have no idea. It's like a Rubik's Cube, basically, except different. I mean, it's similar to Rubik's Cube. You have to get... So we started off with that yellow shape in the center, and you have to make it all... you have to make it all green or all blue or all red, which I will not be able to do because, again, I'm terrible at puzzle games like this. So I'm going to press Q to quit. Very no frills. I mean, wow, there's really... That's really all there is to it. When you run it, you see just this. There's no author name. It doesn't tell you the name of the person who made the game. There's no shareware registration information. So I guess it's freeware. Hold on, is there something in the documentation? There is a trisk.doc. Let's see. So if we say type trisk.doc, okay. Solution, sorry I don't have one. I thought up the puzzle, but my challenge was programming it. Enjoy. Did Neil J. Rubenking really think up this puzzle himself? For some reason I thought that... I don't know. I thought that this was a classic Eastern European game, but what do I know? Okay. Well, it's clearly... I guess the game appears to be freeware since there doesn't seem to be anything about registering it here, but at least this text file contains the author's name. So thank you, Neil J. Rubenking, for making a very nice computer adaptation of what I thought was a classical Eastern European puzzle game. But anyway, moving on now. Let's go back to the CD, and let's see, where were we? So, right, so we had just done EJ Games 4. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Trisk Hungarian Ring Game. So EJ Games 5, Master Code. You have to figure out a hidden code of colored pegs through, what is it, Mastermind? Scramble, EJ version board game Scrabble, another Scrabble clone. See, there are all these board game and card game things here on this CD. Then there's Bass Class. Now this is another program from the same guy who made Bass Tour, and it looks very similar. It's basically the same thing, except it's simpler. It's like a simplified version of Bass Tour for people who want to learn fishing. So Bass Tour was such a great game. I'm tempted to show this briefly just to show what it's like, but I mean, it's basically just Bass Tour. It's the same thing. It's just the controls have been simplified, so you don't have the ridiculously huge number of bait and tackle options that you had in Bass Tour, and I guess some of the controls have been simplified to make it easier to learn. But it's basically the same basic idea. So I'd like to show it off, but I want to show off something a little bit more original to you folks. I mean, again, Bass Tour was a great game, but we've seen it now, so let's move on. Again, 3J card games. I like card games, but Magic Crayon, a creative and challenging experience for young children who like to explore and experiment with color and shapes. Well, come on. What young child doesn't like to explore and experiment with color and shapes? I love that they warn you it fits only on a 720K disc or larger. How many people in the world, even then, even when the CD came out, I mean, the CD came out in the mid-90s, in the mid-1990s, even then, how many people were still working with floppy disks that were smaller than 720K? I think even in the early 90s, it was pretty well standard to have a 1.44 meg floppy disk. By the mid-90s, who still had like a 300 and some kilobyte floppy disk? It just... Anyway, again, slotty video poker bar game, and wonder of all wonders, it does not cheat. It's not real money, so why cheat? Okay, good point, yes, but... Great Leagues where you place the cards in the grid to make a best poker hand. Again, you know, these card games, match them, yeah, concentration style memory game, strategy board game of numbers. Another Othello game. How many Othello games do you need? It's golden. Try to pick up pots of gold as you avoid censors and roaming monsters. I am pretty sure I've never played this. Do we want to... Real quick, let me just try this out. I'm just curious. I am a little doubtful, but again, I'm torn between trying to show off every game and trying to show games that won't bore you folks to death, because I realize that Oh, it's another solo software game. Oh boy. I say that with a bit of dread because, well, I mean, I should be fair. William Solo was a tremendous presence in the shareware market of the 1990s, and he did make some great games. But he made a lot of games, and these shareware, shovelware CDs are always loaded with a ton of solo software games. So press any key to begin level 1. Okay, it looks like I collect the green things, and I guess you can push the blue things around. And then when you're done, do you go to this star or sun? Oh. I've collected everything. What do I do now? Is it like Pengo where you have to smash that thing? No? Do you have to maybe... What? What happened? Okay, so you have to avoid it seeing you, because if it sees you, then it instantly kills you. If you get into its line of sight, it kills you right away. So, okay. Okay. It is one of those things where you have to entrap it. You have to entrap it in boxes so that it can't move anymore, and then it dies. Okay. Gold Hunt Adventure Map. Okay. I see 10 boxes, so I guess these are the 10 levels. Okay. Oh boy, level 2. Level 2 suddenly got a lot more involved. Now we have 4 of these enemies. The enemies are these pink things, I guess. Wow. I'm going to go ahead and press... What happens if I press R to remove blocks? Removing 5 blocks, 3,000 points deducted. Hey, you didn't tell me you would deduce points? Well, I guess you probably would have if I'd read the instructions. Wait, where are the instructions? I don't even see an option here for instructions or help or anything. Okay, I'll press Q to quit. Yeah. One thing that always annoyed me about solo software was how long it takes to quit their games. Because every time you try to quit, it shows you the shareware message for a while. Anyway, well, that wasn't too bad. That was a little bit better than it looked, but, you know, I mean, it's a fairly unremarkable game. I would say it's not one of Solo Software's best. I mean, Solo Software, like I said, they made a lot of games. Some of them were good, some were not. Let's see, I think I overshot where I was. Yeah, so here was Gold Hunt, so there we go. Cuber. I think this was another Solo Software game. I think this is, yeah, catch different colored cubes as they fall and put them in the proper columns on the right side. Sounds nice, but, I mean, yeah, Tetris type game. EG games, EG Arkanoid style game, EG Pac-Man. Yes, it's Pac-Man for EGA. I mean, how many Pac-Man Arkanoid clones are there in the world? Okay, Sherlock. Sherlock version 1.1. This is actually, if you've never seen this game, I think this is probably a game that probably warrants looking at. Those of you who know DOS shareware probably know this game, but if you've never seen this game before, then let me take a moment just to show it off. It's not the best game in the world by any means, but it's fun, and it's kind of smart. I mean, it's kind of a puzzle game. So let's see. So yeah, it's from Everett Kaiser, whose name probably will mean something to folks who know, you know, who are familiar with these kind of DOS shareware games. At the moment, I can't think of other games that he made. What other games did he... Is he the guy who made Snarf? I want to say he was behind Snarf, but I'm not sure. Was that him or was that someone else? I don't remember now. I'm pretty sure he made several other DOS shareware games. Of all of them of pretty good quality. But anyway, let's go ahead and show off what this is about. So I'll say new player, enter a new name, and then okay, done, and then right. So there are. So the puzzle, this game generates, it auto-generates puzzles based on a random number seed which is on a 16-bit random number seed, which means you basically have 65,000 and some possible games. So here you can click on puzzle number, and that's why it says, yeah, so you can enter a puzzle number from 0 to 65,535, because, again, the seed used to generate games is a 16-bit random number generator seed. So anyway, yeah, you can change the background pattern, no time limit, no sound. Let's turn sound on. Why not? Even though this game doesn't have much sound and the sound's not very remarkable, but what the heck. All right, let's play. So yeah. So here we go. So have I ever shown this game on my channel before? I don't think so. This was actually, this game sticks out in my memory just because it's got a nice premise. It looks kind of overwhelming at first, but once you figure out how to play, it's not that bad. It's a nice puzzle game. You just the thing you have to learn is how to interpret the clues. There are many different types of clues. So basically, this area here in the upper left is the actual playing field, and you have basically a 6x6 grid. You have to figure out which picture goes in each space on the 6x6 grid up here. And to help you figure that out are these clues. So all of these here are clues, and all of these things up here are clues. So the clues down here are very simple. They simply mean that these two things are in the same column. So for example, do I have anything that I can show with that? Apparently I don't, not yet. But if I knew for sure where the speed limit 55 sign is, for example, then I would know that the M is in that column. It works the other way around as well. You can also eliminate things using these clues. So for example, since the speed limit 55 sign is in the same column as the M, you can see here, if you look at these are street signs. This is the street signs section here, right? So there are 6 different types of street signs. And in this column, you can see the sign, they filled in 3 of the pictures for us already. So this is a railroad crossing sign, not a speed limit 55 sign. That means the M cannot be here. So I can actually right click on the M here. I can click on it with the right mouse button to eliminate it does, because since the speed limit 55 sign has to be in the same column with the M, that means the M cannot be here. We know for sure the M is not here because the speed limit 55 sign is not here. So what else? And similarly, this guy's head has to be in the same column with the letter S. But in this column, we have this woman's head, or I assume it's a woman. It's probably supposed to be a woman. So since this guy's head, I don't know. This guy always weirded me out. I don't know why he has yellow rays coming out of his head. Maybe his head is actually the sun. Maybe he's the man in the sun. But anyway, but since his head is not in this column, then we know the S cannot be here, so we can eliminate the S. So yeah, there's 6 types of pictures and 6 of each type. So yeah, at the top there are faces, here there are houses, numbers, fruits, street signs, and letters, which spell the word Holmes, of course, because the game is Sherlock, and not Holmes as in, you know, what gangsters call each other, like, hey, what's going on, Holmes? So yeah, and then up here there are several different types of clues here. This particular clue here, I'll drag it over here just to highlight it for a moment. This means that the number 3, is to the left of the dead end sign. So right now that doesn't mean a whole lot because we don't know where the 3 or the dead end sign are. But we can, for example, say, since the 3 has to be to the left of something, it can't be here on the rightmost side because there's no way this 3 here can be to the left of anything. So we can eliminate that 3. And the same goes for the dead end sign. The dead end sign has to be to the right of something. So we can eliminate this dead end sign because there's no way for it to be the right of anything. So yeah, so you start off by doing eliminations. You start off by eliminating what can't be true. In fact, I think I missed it, but maybe you caught it at the beginning when you start the game. There's that famous quote from Sherlock Holmes: after you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth. So it works basically on that same principle. You start off by eliminating what's not possible, and then whatever's left has to be whatever's left, it has to be the right answer. So you just kind of go through these clues, eliminating what you can until you're left with only one possibility. And then you say, okay, well, that one remaining possibility has to be the one. So, I mean, you can go on for quite a ways. I don't want to solve an entire puzzle here because it takes a while. I mean, usually I take about 20 minutes to solve these puzzles. I've been playing this game for 20 years. It is quite a nice game. I mean, it's not the world's most amazing puzzle game. And I think this is a concept that other games and other puzzles have done. This is actually not really an original concept. This is sort of one of those classical, like, these kinds of clues here, like if I take this clue, for example, this means that the 6 is next to the E. So if you know where the E is, then the 6 is next to it. I can't do anything with that right now, but, you know, it kind of works like that. I think I've seen puzzles like this before. This is a sort of classic type of logic puzzle where you have a grid of things and you use clues like this to eliminate possibilities until you have only one thing left, and then you know that one thing has to be the correct solution to the puzzle. So, it's not necessarily a terribly original concept, but it's well programmed. I mean, it works well. The fact that you have 65,000 some puzzles means that you'll probably never play through all of them in your entire life. You know, the graphics are not excellent, but they're decent high resolution EGA graphics. And you can change them. Like if you look in the menu, you can say images. You can, yeah, I don't know if the game. I don't think the game comes with different tile images, but you can make your own if you want. You can make your own images of, I don't know, other computer game characters or whatever you want. So, you know, it's a fun game. I like that game actually. It's quite nice. And one thing that I do remember about it is I think Josh Mandel, being, of course, the guy who did a lot of writing for Sierra Adventures in the early 1990s. So Josh Mandel was one of the relatively invisible folks at Sierra. He never really got the mass fame that people like Roberta Williams or Al Lowe or the two guys from Andromeda got, but he was responsible for a lot of things that happened at Sierra. He did a lot of writing for games like I mean, most significantly, Freddy Farkas. I think he also wrote for several other games like Space Quest 4. A lot of people will know him best as the voice of King Graham from the King's Quest games. But anyway, so Josh Mandel was in an interview, and the interviewer was asking him, what kind of games do you like to play in your spare time? Can you name any specific games? And this game, Sherlock, was actually mentioned by Josh Mandel as sort of, for him, an epitome or sort of like a shining example of what he likes in games, because you know it's intelligent, it's well designed, and it's fun. So yeah, one of Josh Mandel's favorite games. There you go. Or not necessarily one of his favorites, but at least a game that he kind of picked out as worth mentioning, I guess. So there we go. That was Sherlock. Where was I? Yeah, so here's Sherlock. Bass Duel. Yet again, I think this is another game from the same guy who made Bass Tour and Bass Class. So yeah, Bass Duel is a 2-player bass fishing game. Again, I mean, nice idea, but I'll skip on showing it off just because we've already seen Bass Tour. But it's the same basic idea, just like split screen Bass Tour. Secret Agent. This is that platform. It's from Apogee. If you know Crystal Caves, it's basically the same game except just with different levels, but same basic graphics engine. I did show this game on the first Gamefest CD, so I'll skip over it this time. But it was it's quite a nice game. I like this game a lot. Some people prefer Crystal Caves, but for some reason I prefer this game, maybe just because of the theme. Maybe I just find the theme more interesting. I don't know. I like this game quite a bit. I think it's very good. Animal Quest. Let's go ahead and show this one off. Animal. That's a nice abbreviation. Animal Quest, like that. Animal Quest. And let's see, what do I run? I have several COM files here. Those look like sound drivers. Yes. So this is from Alive Software. They are. I'll talk a bit more about that in a second. What do I run? Set up AQ. I guess this is to set up the. Wow, SVGA graphics. Wow, look at all these SVGA drivers for specific video cards like ATI, Paradise, Tsing Labs, Video 7, and Trident. Remember back in the days when there wasn't really a high resolution a standard for high resolution SVGA graphics. In fact, remember when something like 800 by 600 resolution was considered super VGA? That was so high resolution that they called it super. Um, so yeah, you actually needed, because there wasn't really a proper SVGA standard. They ended up making SVGA drivers for each specific manufacturer. So these were the companies. Even back then, ATI was a big graphic card manufacturer, and yeah, they made drivers for all of them. And then finally, there was the VESA standard, which is sort of like supposed to be the global standard for SVGA, and then it kind of took over as the de facto standard. Yeah, and man, all these sound cards. Remember back in the day when Disney's Sound Source was actually still sold, and the Tandy internal speaker, the Kovacs Soundmaster. Wow, memories, man. Pro Audio Spectrum. But yeah, I'll just say Sound Blaster compatible because that was sort of the de facto standard. And again, Sound Blaster Pro, I guess, is better than the regular Sound Blaster. Let's see. I'll use the mouse. Why not? Yeah, save above settings. Okay. Sound Blaster default settings, base address 220 and IRQ7. What do I have here? Oh, I do have IRQ7. Okay, that's nice. Remember the original Sound Blaster defaulted to IRQ7, but then with the Sound Blaster Pro, they suddenly made it IRQ5, and that made it quite annoying to configure different games because some games expected it to be on IRQ7 and so. Anyway, let's go ahead and run AQ for Animal Quest. Are you smart like a fox or strong like a bear? Do you leap like a frog or jump like a deer? Can you howl like a wolf or squeak like a rat? Do you soar like an owl or sprint like a cat? I like this. I like this piece of music. It's what is it called? I think it's called the Turkish March or something like that. When I was a kid and played piano, I could play this on the piano, but I had the timing all wrong. For some reason, I thought that this was supposed to be played a lot slower than it actually is. And as a kid, I played it, but I played it so slowly that when I later in life ran this game, I actually didn't recognize the music at first. I did not recognize that was the same piece of music I played as a child because I played it so much. Like I played it like at probably 1/4 of the speed that it was supposed to be, because it's the Turkish march. You can't march that fast. I mean, marchers go like don 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 don, but they don't go. So yeah, I played it like dun 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 dun. That was literally the speed that I played it at as a kid. I really liked it. It's a great piece of music. I just wasn't very good at playing it. Well, I played it all right. I just played it too slow. So yeah. Anyway, those of you who watch LGR. And if you don't watch LGR, don't know who that is, look him up on YouTube. He makes great videos. He's one of my favorite YouTube channels. He did review this. He did make a video on this game, and he did a better video than I will ever be able to make on anything because he makes very good videos with very good production values. But yeah, it's Animal Quest. You play animals, and you do exactly what animals do, which is try to hunt. Basically, as an animal, you do two things. You try to find food, and you try to not die. That's what you do in this game as well. So let's play in the forest. Why not? This game costs $22. Wow, that's a bit steep for. I mean, I'll be honest. It's not really really the kind of game that I'd play $22 for. But anyway, let's see. And the game window just got a lot bigger. That's nice. It looks like OBS actually is automatically resizing the window so that everything fits within the video envelope, which is nice, but also means that everything probably looks very squashed in the video now. Yeah, I can see in the video preview that the video, the game window is almost twice as high as the video resolution that I'm recording at, so that's why everything's going to look pretty squashed in the video at this point. Sorry about that, folks. So yeah, so you can play an easy game in which you can play a red fox, a gray fox, a lynx, or a, I guess that's a puma, or mountain lion, or cougar, or whatever. Why do those animals have so many names? Or a black bear. I think the black bear is the easiest one because they have no predators at all. They can basically eat everything and nothing tries to kill them. Medium is then raccoon, weasel, snake, or owl, and then difficult is these things here. So basically what makes something easy or difficult is just where you are in the food chain. So bears are at the top of the food chain. They can eat all of these things, and none of these things can eat a bear. And then difficult is if you're at the bottom of the food chain. I mean, most of these animals can't eat any other animals. They're herbivores, so they have a difficult time getting food. They can only eat nuts and berries and things like that, and they always have to run away. Their only defense is to run away. They have no way of attacking to defend themselves. Their only defense is their speed. So let's go ahead and, I don't know, let's be somewhere in the middle. Let's play a raccoon. All right, so here you can see, it actually shows you at the bottom, it shows you the food chain. On the left are things that can eat us. On the right are things that we can eat as a raccoon. So, oh, there's more music playing. It's nice music. So, on this screen, I think they start us off a little easier. So on this screen, there's only stuff that we can eat. I can't seem to move with the keyboard, so I guess I'll have to move with the mouse. And yeah. Things will try to run away from me. You can see this frog was trying to run away from me. So you either corner them or... Yeah, I think you pretty much just have to corner them. Like this mouse is also running away from me. So usually what you'll want to do is corner things if you can. That sound effect that plays when you go over something is... I don't know what that's about. I think that's supposed to be the sound of your animal eating whatever food it just ate. But... that does not sound like a raccoon eating to me. That sounds more like something falling down. Sounds like a box falling on the floor or something like that. I don't know. But anyway. So yeah, most of the animals... I mean, obviously berries and things can't run away from you, but most of the animals will run away. The only thing that won't is the turtle, because obviously it's a little slower than the others. But, let's see. Let's go on. So, aha, there's a hunter, so we have to avoid the hunter. And this is pretty much the whole game. So, okay, there's a cougar up there, so I want to avoid that. Can I click on these? Oh, I can't click on the things at the bottom. I think if you click on this, though... Yeah, now you can use this to look at... okay. This just shows you the food chain for other things, like the puma. Oh yeah, here we go. So we can read sort of an encyclopedia entry about the different things. Can I get an encyclopedia entry about the eggs? Yes, I can. Birds, reptiles, and insects lay eggs. So, I mean, as a game, it's not necessarily the most fun game in the world. It's, I mean, it's pretty much... What you've seen is pretty much all it is. You just go after everything that you can eat and try to avoid everything that can eat you. And that's it. And you try to get to the end. So you just keep moving to the right... And eventually, if you get far enough, then you get reunited with your family, and then the game's over. You win. So I mean, it's a pretty simple game. It's more like an educational game for learning about animals and nature and things like that, which is nice. I mean, it's I guess what's going on with the music? Is it supposed to sound like that? I think it's supposed to sound like that. I think it's just kind of how it, just kind of a vibrato effect, or not really vibrato. It's not really vibrato, is it? It's something else. I think I don't know what you call it in Italian, but anyway. So I mean, it's not a bad game. Just it's more like a children's game. I don't think it's something that most adults would really entertain themselves with for very long. Actually, it's probably even something children would entertain themselves with for very long. They would kind of get tired of this because it is a little bit monotonous. It's basically just go around scrounging up whatever you can scavenge. So, as a raccoon does. So, let's go ahead and exit. Yeah. So this is their software catalog, Alive Software's catalog of games. So yeah, Animal Quest, Magic Crayon. Oh, that was also on the CD. That was something I skipped over. PC Jigsaw. Okay. I mean, it's a jigsaw puzzle. Crazy Shuffle. VJ Jigsaw, another Jigsaw. VJ Concentration. Okay, yeah, another concentration picture matching thing. Scuba Man's Quest. This was later turned into Alive Sharks, if I remember. That was the game. That was another game that a lot of people remember from Alive Software or from these days of shareware. That was another popular shareware game back in the day. That's the game where you're just a scuba diver swimming around trying to avoid sharks. Or was it the other way around? Was it first Alive Sharks and then Alive Sharks was turned into Scuba Man's Quest? I think it was one or the other, but anyway. Oh yeah, Billy the Kid. This was, I think I made a video. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I uploaded a video where I played this some years ago. Yeah, this was not really, it's kind of a platform action game, but it's not very good. Software Creations BBS, How to Order in Australia. Okay, that was that. Yeah, Alive Software, they were pretty popular back in the day. They made a lot of shareware games which are widely distributed on these compilation CDs, but a lot of the games weren't very good. I mean, a lot of them were kind of mediocre. The games that really stood out were Scuba Man's, like Alive Sharks and Scuba Man's Quest, and then I guess after that, Animal Quest and Billy the Kid, both of which were kind of mediocre. But Anyway, I think I'll go ahead and stop now. So this was more games from the Gamefest 2 CD. Thanks for coming along with me, everyone. Hope that you enjoyed. I hope that this was a little bit more fun than last time. I hope at least the games were kind of fun to watch. I think they were. I think the games here were not bad. These are, they're fun games, fun little DOS games, fun to play for fun people to have funny times with. So, yeah, that was that. Anyway, I will go ahead and sign off now. And again, thank you all for watching. Hope that you're all doing well. And I will talk to you folks later. Ta-ta.